Today I mailed out these 2 rolls of film to a photography place down in Atlanta, Georgia, from up here in New York. The 2 rolls of film were my father's. I found them in a camera bag after he died. My father passed in 1988, and it felt kind of weird. But it felt like I did it already before, because I had tried to get this film developed twice already, and it got sent back to me both times because, and this is kind of an update from a video I made a long time ago, but the film was something called ECN2 processing film, which was old movie film that was repurposed for photography in the 60s. And so, of course, my father used this crazy film that nobody can develop now. And I mean, literally, nobody in the United States could deliver this. Like, nobody, like, I was astounded that nobody in New York City, nobody in Los Angeles, nobody in Chicago, nobody in any of the big cities could do this. I found a place like overseas somewhere, and I found a place in Canada that kind of sort of said they might be able to do it, but they wouldn't be able to send me prints. There was a place in Arkansas, I think, that kept telling me for the last year that they were waiting for some machine that they were going to get in, and that even when they did do it, I was going to have to wait a year to get it back. And so recently I did a video and I talked about it, and a guy named Mr. Pugsley, thank you so much, contacted me through my website and told me that he found a place originally overseas that did it. But then we emailed back and forth about the fact that it would probably get x-rayed to death by the time it got there. So I didn't deal with that. I didn't want to send it off to, like, I think it was Japan or something like that. But anyway, he sent me another email and he found a place in Atlanta. Atlanta, at this point for me, it feels local. And so I contacted them. They said, yes, absolutely, we do it. You know, it's going to cost me like $70 for 2 rolls of film, including the shipping back to me. And I'll get it back within a couple of weeks, probably. Send it off to them today. They'll get it over the next day or so. And it's weird because the first time I tried to do this, I brought it to a CVS, you know. Oh, no, a Walgreens, you know, just a drugstore. And they kept it for like 2 weeks, and I didn't hear back. And, you know, then I let another week go by. It was 3 weeks, so I called them. I was like, yo, what's up with my film? Like, I haven't heard anything from you. And they said, oh, yeah, we can't do it. It got sent back from the lab. So then I just started calling all kinds of people. It just got, you know, like, it just got weird, you know. And I actually called B&H and places like that, camera stores. I called this guy in Pelham, New York, who deals with my camera gear, who cleans my camera and my lenses and fixes things when they're broken. And he put me on to somebody in like Scarsdale, New York, who he said, if this guy can't do it, nobody can. And that guy couldn't do it. I brought it to him in person. He was like, I can't do it. I don't have the proper chemicals. And he couldn't help me, and nobody could help me. And then, you know, like the plot thickened. Like I was like, what is on this film? I want to know what's on this film. You know, my father was a photographer in World War II. And, you know, he wasn't a professional photographer or anything like that, but that's the job that they gave him, you know, hanging off of these jets. And he had a bunch of pictures of like mushroom clouds, and he had a picture of a German hand, you know, like just blown off somebody's body, like gruesome stuff. But he loved photography. And, but, you know, I found, you know, this film was from 1988 at the latest. My father was sick for a long time before he died, you know, like about a year or less than a year, but I don't know if he had taken any pictures for a long time before that. You know, I don't know. You know, he might not have taken pictures since I was a kid. You know, maybe those, you know, maybe it's way before 1988 what's on that film. Maybe there's something on that film that I don't know about him, you know? Who knows what it is, but it's just like, you know, I didn't have the best relationship with my father most of my life, but at the end of my life, he got sick. I wound up being the one to take care of him, and we healed a lot of stuff. Like, we fixed our relationship. I'm so grateful to say. And so I have to admit, you know, low-key, I'm a little bit nervous, like what's going to be on that film. You know, I don't know. my father was like a real New York guy. Maybe there were pictures from a Knick game or a Yankee game, maybe restaurant with friends, maybe it was just family stuff. Like, I have no idea. But I want to find out. And now, finally, I sent it somewhere where they can do it. So I'm going to find out, 1988, probably before then. That's a long time. At the time, I had his camera bag. I didn't even look at it for years. At the time, I was in the music business. I had not even ever owned my own camera. I don't know how many times I had even touched a camera in my whole life at that point. 1988? I'll tell you a funny story. Here's how good I was with cameras. I went to London in 1988, right before my father passed. And, no, it was right after he passed away. My father passed in April, I think it was. And so I went to London after that same year. I was part of some international music festival. I was representing the United States, some jazz festival. And I took a camera with me. My girlfriend at the time, she said to me, "You want me to help you load the film?" Because I borrowed my father's camera, the very camera that I found in that bag. And I was like, "No, of course, I know how to load film." She's like, "I could help you. You're not you're not the camera guy." And I'm like, "Yo, I know how to load a camera, okay?" So, I did what I thought was, loading the camera. Except that, I went to London. I was there for, I think, about a month. We went to London. We went to some other places in Europe. I took 1 million pictures, and I was like, damn, this film lasts forever. Like, it got to like 24, and then it got to 36, and then it got to 45, and then it got to 60, and I was like, this camera, this is like endless, It's like endless film. So fast forward, I come back about a month and a half later, something like that. My girlfriend Debbie, she's like, "So, how are the pictures? How did you get a lot of stuff?" And I was like, "Oh man, it was like unlimited." She goes, "How many pictures did you take? You had 2 rolls, right?" I said, "Yeah." Each one was supposed to be 24 exposures, but it was much, much more than that. She's like, "Let me see the camera." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Let me look at the camera." So, went into my bag, I handed her the camera, she opened it up and she just started laughing. I'm like, "What's so funny?" And she is like gut laughing, like losing it. I'm like, "Yo, what's so funny?" And she goes, "There's no film in the camera. The numbers were just moving." I just, I looked and I saw the numbers and they were moving when I left, and so I thought there's already film in the camera. And I thought at that time, if you open the camera, you expose the film and it's ruined. Because I didn't know anything about cameras or film or anything, so that gives you an example of my experience with cameras before I found my father's camera. And so I didn't even open the bag for years. And then, I wound up in the theater world. I was a solo theater artist for many, many years. And, during the pandemic, I had a big play that was supposed to open June 12th, 2020 at the Signature Theater in New York City. Obviously got canceled because of COVID. And so I decided to adapt that play to a screenplay and make a movie, which I had no idea what I was doing, but I shot that film on my phone. It became like an obsession for me. I fell in love, with filmmaking. And I became a filmmaker. Now I'm a filmmaker, and now I'm shooting with cameras. And, cameras are kind of like just this huge part of my life now. And lenses, it's like a spiritual journey for me. And I'm creating most of my art now. I mean, I'm still in the theater world too, but it seems like I'm creating most of my art with cameras now. So anyway, it would have been kind of cool. Me and my father would have had something in common. We could have talked cameras. We could have, recently I had this issue shooting 23.976 frames per second. I couldn't get a DCP file for my movie and all this stuff. And, I'm working on a photography book right now. And I'm using my father's lenses predominantly for all my work. These Minolta Rocore lenses, these old vintage lenses that everybody loves so much. I got 2 of them for free in my father's bag. I just adapted them. At the time, I adapted them to a Sony a6400, then I adapted them to this Panasonic S5 that I'm using right now. And it's kind of a drag that my father's not around now, to see what I'm doing, and for me to have the opportunity to, you know, chop it up with him about this. So I'm dying to know what's on that film, and now I'm gonna know. ECN2 processing. Thank you, Mr. Pugsley, man. That's, you know, like my heart. I really appreciate that. You know, that somebody actually took the time to contact me. They actually watched and listened to my video, and they felt it enough to like do some research and reach out to me and connect me with this. Like, YouTube can be kind of amazing. You know, YouTube can be a beautiful thing. And, you know, I'm somebody who kind of hates social media, but YouTube is a real community, I think. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit about YouTube too, but it's pretty amazing. So anyway, I'm going to make a real video with B-roll and make it beautiful and all that kind of stuff, because I use YouTube to practice, you know. I don't have a big following. I am getting more subscribers lately, and thank you so much for that, because I would love to be able to monetize this channel, but I am far away from that, and I do whatever I want at this channel. I'm not trying to emulate anybody. I'm not trying to follow any YouTube rules. I'm not doing any research. I'm just shooting stuff that I like, that I feel good about, that's great practice for me, and that I feel is entertaining and maybe contributing to people who watch my channel. That's it for me. Like, if I get monetized, that would be awesome, but I'm shooting whatever I want. And so I'll definitely keep you posted on this, and I'll share what was in those photos, probably, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and this was probably a pretty boring video for most people because it wasn't fantastic and all kinds of B-roll cuts and things like that, but, you know, I just wanted to share this because a lot of people have actually asked me about this, and so I guess I feel like it was a nice thing to do, to share this part too, where I'm just waiting, you know, and maybe this is the appropriate way to shoot this video. Like, I'm just waiting. There's not a lot going on, you know. I could have shown you walking into the post office today. I could have shown you walking out. I could have had shots of me thinking and, you know, like taking deep breaths today and looking off into the sunset. But, you know, honestly, it's just been kind of a quiet day for me. You know, I dropped the box off, and I've just been thinking about it, you know, and just kind of keeping to myself. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.